Hi guys, I'm Wilkan and welcome back to another making of video. Today I will analyze Fairy Flowers, very short fantasy film which you can find here and in the description below. Let's go. Concept for the film was very simple, so there was no script, just a couple of ideas in my mind. I actually came up with some things just before we left the house, when I saw a basket and flowers in a pot. Footage for the film was recorded some time ago, when my niece Laura was in our hometown for a couple of days. We were too busy to finish the project back then, but it came up for good because it was a good opportunity to test new Resolve 17 features. More on that later. Same as on a previous project, I was using Pocket 6K and Sigma lenses with the infamous 18-35 and Nifty 50. I used gimbal for a couple of shots, but more on a tripod because I knew that I will add some VFX and it is easier to do that on static shots. I shot 6K Blackmagic RAW with 5:1 and 8:1 compression, all in 50 FPS because I knew that I will slow down some shots, but I was not sure which ones. Final file was in 4K, 25 FPS in wide aspect ratio. This time I got only photos from set, taken by my wife, so I will show you a couple of them and say just a few words about shooting. Forest was just a few kilometers from our hometown. When we came up there, I immediately started to search for some interesting place to shoot. We were a little bit late on location, so sun was much stronger than I would want. Everything was shot in natural light without any diffusion. As always, weather was changing fast, so for some shots we needed to wait for sun. The difference in the image would be too big, especially for those composing shots when fairy or a basket appears. Most of the trees in the forest was straight and boring, so this one got my attention fast. I thought that it would be cool to put fairy there. I also wanted to make shot when she's flying there, but time was running out and I didn't make it. What I also liked about this place was a lot of interesting changes in the ground. We got flowers made from plastic or paper and we put them in the ground to have nice looking frame. Laura was picking them to the basket and then we needed to repeat this process for next shots. If I remember correctly, we spent there about 3 to 4 hours. There was a couple of shots that I didn't have time to record or repeat, because my crew wanted to go to the pool. There is much more to talk about post-production this time. I switched to Resolve not long ago, so I wanted to learn it more, especially try to do some VFX in Fusion. Here is how my timeline looked like. I sort my footage with colors and that helps a lot with the selection. I put rejected clips in separate timelines, so if I need I can always easier find them and restore. VFX was a big challenge. I also wanted to test how my PC will handle working in Fusion. Here you can see my PC specs. I work on a 2K timeline most of the time and just change to 4K in export, and it works great when editing and grading. But when I started to do more complicated VFX, my PC started to struggle, so I needed to do some workarounds. When I finished the VFX, I exported it as a PNG with alpha channel and then applied on the timeline. I don't want to break down how I did those VFX in details, because I'm a beginner in Fusion, so there are probably better ways to do what I did. With those small particles, I thought that it will be easier to just render out PNG with a lot of particles and mask them out on different shots. What I can tell you is that it's a lot of work to make those animations look good. I would like to make them smoother, but I didn't want to spend the rest of my life working on it. As I mentioned before, this shot was a good opportunity to test new Resolve 17 features like HDR grade or Magic Mask. I was playing with grade a lot, going back and forth with adjustments, so my notes are a big mess. Overall idea was to make forest look more magical. First note is a basic contrast, exposure and saturation. I added glow just on fairy with masks on individual clips to make her stand out. Then glow on a whole image. After that is second adjustment node with more contrast. Here is a main grade with skin qualifier. Next was nodes with color changes for things like greens and trees to make them look more fairy tale like. Vignette, grain and saturation compression. I added some fog effect in specific places in the frames to add more depth and to make fairy pop out more. I also added sunbeams to make forest more pleasing. It was a lot of work and normally I wouldn't do that, especially because it needs a lot of computer power, but it was fun to try. Music and sound effects play a big role in this and every other of my films, so I thought that my brother needs to make separate video about this, so stay tuned for that. If you got some specific questions, you can always find him on social media, links in the description. That's all I got for you today. I hope you found it useful. Even though this project was very simple, I got a lot of experience and I'm happy that our fairy Laura had some fun and she really liked the final result. If you got some questions, write down in the comments and see you next time.